What's going on, everyone? It's your boy, the Fantasy Football Almanac, back at it with another best ball draft video. Today, we're hopping in the Puppy 4. We got one day left till football begins. This is probably the most excited I have been to go to sleep in a long, long time, probably since Christmas last year. Uh, but before we get into it, please, if you guys could, go down, leave a like, leave a comment on this video, and subscribe to the channel. Would mean the world to me. And I will be giving advice throughout the fantasy football season, helping you guys out with your drafts so you can dominate your friends and win your championships. Here, we're faced with a six pick, and recently I've noticed that Austin Eckler has been going higher and higher and higher. Now, finally, he is ahead of Jamar Chase, which I think is kind of dumb, to be 100% honest with you. I think Jamar Chase should easily be in the same tier as these other two wide receivers. We'll see if we get him. We don't, unfortunately. Would have been nice. We will take Austin Eckler, though. Austin Eckler, pretty much a no-brainer there at 6. But I do think Jamar Chase is definitely still the guy you should be taking here at 5. I mean, because he's the type of guy who can have a 50-point boom week, whereas Austin Eckler simply just really can't. I mean, he's a very, very talented running back. I'm not going to lie. And this Chargers offense does project to be absolutely insane. But, I mean, Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase, you know? So I will hopefully be taking Jamar Chase 5 pretty much every time, 5 or 6. Um, there is not that much availability left in these best ball puppy drafts. There's 60,000 entrants already in. So I'm trying to hop in a few of these, especially before the season starts. I mean, if I could hop in 5 or 6. Also, same thing with Best Ball Mania 3. Best Ball Mania 3, there might not even be entrants left by the time I upload it. But it's getting really, really close here. Also, if you notice this, look at all these running backs here. Najee Harris through Javonte Williams. Now running backs have been getting pushed up this board an absolute ton. Because I think people are starting to realize, or not starting to realize, but now people realize, oh shit, I need to get my running backs in round 2 so I can go out there and take a baller wide receiver in round 1. Because there really is only 3, maybe 4, if you consider Stephon Diggs a baller receiver, 3 or 4 baller receivers. So they go out in round 1, get their baller receiver, and then in round 2, they're trying to go for these running backs here, whether it be Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley coming off higher and higher. I mean, it's awesome. I love to see it. I just took Saquon Barkley actually at 10 in my redraft league with my home friends. So, I mean, I really like Saquon Barkley here, but it is a little sad to see him go so high up because he was such a huge value, like ridiculously huge early on. Another huge value here would have been Najee Harris. Unfortunately, doesn't hit here. We're going to be going with Deebo Samuel, a guy I think is a value where he's going right now. A guy I do like. We could have gone with Mark Andrews here. Honestly, that probably should have been the pick, considering it's pretty much impossible for us to get Mark Andrews in the next round here. I actually should have gone with Mark Andrews here. It was a slight mistake, because I don't think there's any chance Pitts makes it back to us here at 30. Mm, Pitts is honestly soaring up to be this tight end 2 almost, which is crazy to me. Absolutely ludicrous. I do love Pitts though, I do. But at the tight end 2, I can't love him that much. Uh, Kyle Pitts, though, probably won't make it back to us here at 30, but he's an absolutely phenomenal player here, so wouldn't be too bad. We'll see either way, though. Tyreek Hill coming off the board here. So we got Tyreek off the board. Leonard Fournette somehow still on the board. A guy I think is just sitting right in this range where I like to take him. Like, I think he's perfect where he goes right now. I couldn't really ask for him to be any higher or any lower. I would prefer him just in a vacuum over Aaron Jones because I would rather just have A.J. Dillon. I think A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones should virtually have a very similar workload. And if that's the case, then why not take the guy who's going cheaper? That's my philosophy on it. Whereas Leonard Fournette, I mean, should be the lead back here, lead dog easily. I mean, 450 yards receiving, that doesn't happen to too many running backs here. And he took over, not at the very start of the season. He had a few weeks where he was being lulled in. Also, he didn't play a full workload, a full 16 games, or full 17 games now. Still feels weird saying that. But he hasn't played a full workload yet this season, or last season, which he also hasn't throughout the course of his career. He's never played a full season. But you figure if these are projected over the course of a full season, that's 1,400 yards from scrimmage, which is really, really good for a running back right behind Tom Brady. So you figure touchdowns will come here. Although I am a little bit concerned. I hate to say it because, it's Tom Brady. I don't want to diss on Tom Brady here. But he's 45 years old. I mean, it starts to get to the point where it's a bit concerning here, just a little bit at least. Uh, with his age, I would say we are going to take Leonard Fournette here. It's shocked he fell to me. But I will gladly take him. Um, so we do get Leonard Fournette, which I'm glad about. Uh, but I think there is some concerns now with Tom Brady's age. For one, he threw over 700 passes last year. That's something that has almost never happened. I don't even think it has happened once in the NFL, in NFL history. He throws over 700 passes. Um, of course, has over 5,000 yards because he threw 700 passes, and he was efficient on those 700 passes. But at the same time, 700 passes is a ton. I mean, I expect that to go down at least. You figure 50. I mean, if he fell 50 pass attempts, he would still be a top five quarterback in terms of passing. So I figure that should go down. Maybe it goes down a little more than we would like to see, but it will most certainly go down here. We got Gabe Davis coming off now as the wide receiver 17. A little crazy to me. I think on sleeper, he's much more of a value here because on sleeper, he's he's going way later. He's a huge value on sleeper. But on underdog fantasy, I can't say he's a value here. I mean, he's pretty gross, honestly. We do have James Conner somehow still on the board, which is really surprising to me. This guy's got 3 RBs. Wow. Oh my God. Derrick Henry, Najee, and Chubb. That's really nice. There's pretty much no way James Conner falls to us, though. I'll say it now. I mean, it would just take a miracle here. Yeah, he doesn't. Let's see this team. It's a nice team. I would have preferred going running back, though, instead of CD here, but you do what you gotta do, man. Uh, Here we're in probably the worst position. I mean, we just got sniped on everyone. We do have Eckler, though, so I think the Eckler-Herbert stack does make sense here. Uh, I also did get Herbert in my my redraft, my main league here. So that Eckler Herbert stack, I pretty much don't own it at all. But I mean, here if I'm able to get it and get it at a decent value, I'm fine with that. And now here we probably will be targeting Deontay, a guy who I do think is a value at this point. I mean, Deontay's probably the best value on the board right now. Deontay, Godwin, I could consider a small value, and George Kittle. These are probably the three main values on the board right here. I would say personally, because then after this, I mean, you just get into Jalen Hurts, who's getting pushed up more and more. He honestly could become. No, he can't. I was gonna say he could become the quarterback four. It's honestly getting sort of close. I think he realistic. I mean, he's my quarterback three, so I'm fine getting him wherever. I think he's a value wherever he ends up going. Yeah, I actually, not to bring it up again and again and again, but it is a two quarterback league, and my league tends to draft quarterbacks late in two quarterback leagues. So I had the 10th pick. My first two picks, I go Joe Mixon and Saquon Barkley. And then uh, at the 3-4 turn, I end up taking both Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts because Josh Allen was already off the board. But the way we tended to draft in years past was like a one quarterback league. And then like the fifth or sixth round, all the quarterbacks start flying off. But instead, I said, you know what, I'm going to get the best quarterbacks here, and I'm going to take some really talented players. So I ended up taking Herbert and Jalen Hurts, which I do really like. I think that's totally fine to do. And then I actually, in the next round, somehow Trey Lance made it back to me. So I said, all right, I'm going to triple up, have this insane rushing upside and a nice trade piece if I do need to trade. Let's say one of my running backs goes down or something. I would have a nice trade piece. So that was my philosophy. I think it is pretty smart. But let me know down in the comments below. Let me know how your guys' drafts have gone thus far, because I know it is one day before the season. I'm assuming at this point most people probably have drafted here, if not everybody's drafted here. So please let me know down below how your drafts have been going, who you have in your main league, because everyone, I mean, obviously has that one main league that they're in, the league that they love with all their home friends. Maybe some people they haven't talked to in a while, but whenever fantasy comes on, everyone gets close again. So please let me know who you guys have down below. We get Deontay Johnson here, which is a little bit surprising. Our team's really well rounded. But yeah, please let me know who you guys get down below. It is pretty cool to see. I love hearing about all the different values, sleepers that other people think. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just one guy. Uh, I do have a lot of insight on fantasy football, or at least I like to think I do. Roast me in the comments if you don't think so. But but I am just one guy at the end of the day. I mean, there's 12 other teams in this league, 12 other people who think completely differently. Like I'm not as high on AJ Brown. This guy loves AJ Brown. Just let me know down in the comments below some players that you guys are actually high on. Because there's some to me, like I really am higher on Deontay Johnson than an underdog, but on sleeper I'm a little lower than consensus. So yeah, it is interesting to see. Just let me know down below. Here we got Monty on the board still, Mooney on the board still, Michael Thomas on the board. Michael Thomas, he hit his peak at like 52 ADP. Now has kind of been coming back down, back to 60. He does have a hamstring injury. Currently is coming back down to earth here. And at the end of the day, the Saints traded the freaking boat to get Chris Olave. They clearly really like Chris Olave. So, I mean, I think the way I look at that is Chris Olave is the guy there. Um, Michael Thomas could be the wide receiver one. It is possible. It is certainly possible. I mean, we've seen Michael Thomas's talent. He's 29 years old, so hasn't hit an age cliff yet. But we have seen the talent with Michael Thomas here. I mean, 1,700 yards in a season. I could probably count on one hand how many wide receivers have done that. So the upside is 100% there. But I think realistic outcomes, it's okay. We are going to take David Montgomery here, though, and probably try and double up with Lazard in the next round. Lazard isn't practicing right now. I will be putting out on Saturday before the draft just some updates on all these players who appear questionable for the start of the regular season. I think it's about, there's tons of players with tons of crazy things going on. I mean, like Gallup, all of them. So we are going to touch. Oh wow, listed as the number one wideout. I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's Drake London. Without him, Brian Edwards would probably be the number one. So yeah, Drake London's the number one wideout there. I don't think there's any real competition unless you consider Coppets a wideout. Then Coppets is easily the number one wideout here. We are in a position where I would be fine going Drake London or Lazard here. I do prefer Lazard. Lazard is dropping on boards because, I mean, if he's out week one, right, it is a little bit concerning because you do have potentially a guy like Romeo Doubs coming in saying, okay, I'm going to be taking some of this workload from you. Same thing with Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb. I mean, these are players who are pretty much making their case to be that wide receiver one in this offense. And if Alan Lazard is not the wide receiver one in this offense, then that would be pretty detrimental for him. Because I think the main reason people are drafting him as high as they are, and as high as I am, because I'm drafting him extremely high, is because he projects to be the wide receiver one in this offense. When Aaron Rodgers was asked about Alan Lazard being the wide receiver one in the offense, Aaron Rodgers responded, obviously, so clearly he does have faith in Alan Lazard here. I'm not too worried about an injury for 1 week, and if people are fading him, even if he's just fallen down a few picks, I'm absolutely fine with that because it's just a free good player, a free potential wide receiver one on a great offense. So that's kind of my philosophy. We'll see if it ends up happening, though. All these three guys have QBs here, so it is possible we do get somebody taking Lazard. If I were to guess, I would guess this guy's taking Alan Lazard because he is extremely experienced here. It says, he's got the highly experienced symbol. One day I dream to get there. I don't know how much you have to spend or how many drafts you have to be in to attain that symbol. But one day I do dream to get there. This guy does have 3 wide receivers. He's got a very well-rounded roster. He also is doing the 1C strat where you get the number 1 tight end and then, or not number 1 tight end, but a great tight end and a great quarterback. I think the 1C strat is really, really smart. I've been doing it a ton with Trey Lance and George Kittle because at this point, I think it's really smart to do something like that because their boom weeks correlate so heavily together. Like if Trey Lance booms, George Kittle will probably end up booming here. Uh, I would have liked to have gone Trey Lance. I think he is definitely a value at this point, but we do already have Justin Herbert. If I had known Trey Lance would have made it to 78, I probably would have passed on Herbert. But not really, though, because the thing is, I'm saying I would pass on Herbert, but I really wouldn't because I think Chris Godwin is definitely a tier drop off, and then at the same time, I'm getting potentially the number 1 QB this season. I think Justin Herbert could easily be the number 1 QB here. Last year, he finished as the number 2 QB in all of fantasy. And when you watch Justin Herbert play, I mean, this is a guy who can throw 5 touchdowns, can have 40-point boom weeks. Him and Austin Eckler together, I think it's a nice stack to have at a discount. Stack you don't see too often at a discount. I'm absolutely fine with it, especially in the puppy four, because I mean everyone's drafting their teams within a week of each other, let's say, and a week's being generous. So everyone's drafting these teams in a week together. So everyone's seeing a very similar ADP. There isn't as much of an opportunity for you to get insane value on a player. Like, let's say I think Clyde's a value and I get him at 87. He will most likely be staying around 85 for this whole week. I mean, maybe he drops to 90 or goes up to 80, but that's really about it. The few players I can say would be above that are Damian Pierce, Red Sox, 1515. Where's this guy at? Let me see his team, just for curiosity's sake. I mean, wow, Damian Pierce going at an ADP of 60. Yes, I understand. He projects to be the starting running back here. I'll admit it. But the Houston Texans were still bottom 10 in overall rush attempts last season. Just because they are setting up the run, quote unquote, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be rushing the ball a lot. They're setting up the run in the first quarter, and then they get blown out in every single game. So I am a little bit wary, I guess, so to speak, of naming Pierce. I mean, I think at 45 it's just absolutely an awful pick there. I mean, just an absolutely terrible pick. Fine with it. The hype's getting out of control. I would say, personally, if I were drafting, once you get to around, let's say around here, once you get to around Josh Jacobs territory, I think it's fine. But until then, I think it's a terrible idea. I was hoping for Amari Cooper. We are going to go Clyde here. Actually, Goddard could be the pick. I might go Goddard here. So I go Goddard. The reason why I went Goddard is because I was looking. There's three guys I like here. All three of these guys I am absolutely fine with. Whereas at tight end, I think after Goddard and Hawkinson, there is a teardrop here. So it is possible. And also, a couple of these people don't have tight ends. I mean, we just see one tight end going right now, Dawson Knox. This guy's crazy, though. Oh my God. So yeah, already two tight ends off the board here. People are clearly trying to, get up and reach there for their tight end. So I'm fine, getting my choice of those players and kind of starting a little bit of a run here. That was kind of my goal. It worked out pretty well. But if you guys are enjoying this video, please go down, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Would mean the world to me. I love you guys all so much. We are 31 subscribers right now. NFL season's one day away. If you guys do want help throughout your fantasy season, please consider subscribing. You can always change your mind later. We are going to be putting out tons and tons of videos. We're only going to be getting better and better too. I mean, I'm going to be working on a model. I'm going to be doing so much different stuff. So just to help you guys out, so you guys can take it a little easy. Or for the really hardcore fans, you can just have a nice discussion together. So either way, I want to be accessible to everyone. That's really my goal. So thank you. Thank you guys so much. Here, I don't really enjoy taking Robert Woods much. I mean, it's not a pick that really brings me joy. It's not a pick that brings me joy at all. It's actually pretty disgusting. I'm not going to lie. It's really gross. I guess good I didn't have to take it, but I mean, I guess if they're going to hand me value here in Dak, I'll take them because there is value in Dak. Sure, I'll take him there at 10 pick value and just have good QBs here. But I don't love that. I don't really love that at all. We are going to be taking another tight end here. I kind of, in a way, wish I didn't take Irv Smith because Dallas Goedert has a week 7. Or I wish I didn't take Dallas Goedert because Irv Smith does also have a week 7 bye. If we can potentially finesse Komet, a guy I do really like, and I'm pretty high on this season, just because the volume is way there. I mean, look at this, 93 targets last season, 600 yards. Who else is there? It's him. It's Mooney. That's about it. I think that's why Cole Kmet has been soaring up these boards. Irv Smith should be climbing up these boards as well. Irv Smith, a guy I do really like, especially as a late round tight end. I mean, it's just smart to take a guy like Irv Smith, a guy who will most likely be walking into some decent volume and a pass heavy offense. So I like him a lot. We do have a lot of running backs on the board. The guy I would prefer the most is James Cook here. James Cook, I think he was listed as the number 3 actually very recently. They don't have it here, but he was listed as the number 3 back in this offense. I think he will quickly usurp Zach Moss here, almost guaranteed. I mean, it's Zach Moss, not a guy they've ever really put stock into. Maybe he'll steal carries, but this does project to be a committee. So if I'm buying into anyone, I want the guy with the highest upside. James Conner offers that over Devin Singletary. Yes, Devin Singletary probably has a safer floor here, I will admit. Uh, Absolutely, actually, is a safer floor. I mean, when you look at last year too, he actually was playing pretty well down the stretch. Uh, but the thing is, James Cook projects to be that passing down back in this offense. Devin Singletary simply does not. I mean, they tried to bring in J.D. McKissick, a known passing back in this offense, and it failed. They tried to bring in Chase Evans, and it failed. Clearly, they wanted somebody in the passing down role, and that guy projects to be James Cook. That's why I prefer James Cook, and that's why a lot of people prefer Miles Sanders over Damian Harris, but it doesn't feel like the case for James Cook. Uh, Over Devin Singletary. Their ADPs are pretty much attached here at the hip. So I'm going James Cook here. Never mind. He's going James Cook here. A little bit painful. We do have Chase Claypool still on the board. Actually, George Pickens, it's funny. He did pass him in terms of ADP. I've seen conflicting reports, some saying that Chase Claypool's obviously the wide receiver 2, and then others saying it's not even close and that he's the wide receiver 3. I already have a Pittsburgh wide receiver here that I like a lot more. So I'm going to take a very. Oh, wait, no, I shouldn't do that. I'm going to be taking Joshua Palmer here, thinking that I do have, or figuring that I do have Justin Herbert. It would be nice to get a stack here, and a good stack at that. I mean, Herbert, Eckler, and Joshua Palmer. Let's say Keenan goes down. Let's say Mike Williams goes down. It feels really, really nice to have one a really talented backup, a guy that has been getting tons and tons of hype in terms of his overall talent. And two, the third wide receiver in an offense with Justin Herbert. It's not like Gerald Everett really figures to steal that much work. I mean, what is he coming off the board right now? Tight end 17. Yeah, he's not going to be stealing that much work. What, 500 yards? Let's say 500 yards is fair. Uh, there's still enough work for Joshua Palmer to at least be decent. And then if Mike Williams goes down, if Keenan Allen goes down, he's probably the best wide receiver insurance policy in the entire league, I would say. I mean, it's very few and far between because he's very talented. Whereas I would point to somebody like Tyler Boyd as another wide receiver insurance policy, but I would prefer Joshua Palmer over Tyler Boyd because Tyler Boyd, at the end of the day, what's his ceiling? So that's kind of my take on it. We do have Romeo Doubs and Jahan Dotson both on the board here. I'm fine with either one. Jahan Dotson, probably, in my opinion, one of the most overlooked wide receivers right now. He went in the very last round of my redraft league, and I would have taken him, but I had so many wide receivers. I had guys like Olave, Dobbs, tons and tons of wide receiver value that I scooped up. So I didn't end up taking Jahan Dotson here. But Jahan Dotson, I mean, come on, just a great name to have. Can't be too mad. Quarterbacks are falling a bit in this draft, though. We do have Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins both coming off the board at values now, making our Dak pick look its head a bit worse, but I'm still absolutely fine with it here. I think these guys will come off the board rather soon. I imagine who has what's his name? Who has Justin Jefferson? Whoever has Justin Jefferson, I would imagine probably is eyeing up Kirk. I would have gone. I would have liked to have gone Aaron Rodgers here if we since we did Lazard, but we're gonna go stackless with our second quarterback here, which is fine. Uh, we are 3 picks away though. Jahan Dotson would be the guy I wanted of any of these players. We could go with the Muth too, potentially. Um, Actually, we really could go with Pat Fryermuth here. I think it's not a bad decision. This guy has no tight end. This guy has no tight end. There's a lot of players without tight ends here. Tight ends are going to be scooped. Although I do think Jahan Dotson would probably have been the pick here. I think Fryermuth is now the pick, considering I don't want to have the same buy. So we are going to go Fryermuth here. Not a guy I necessarily love at ADP, but I know a few of these players will be going tight ends here. So why not start the run yet again as early as possible? And honestly, right now, I mean, the running backs here, the wide receivers here, like there's no real wide receivers that stands out. Like, do I really prefer Garrett Wilson that much over like a Christian Watson, like a Jarvis Landry, KJ Hamler? Not really. So I do prefer to wait. We do also only have 3 running backs here, something we probably should be targeting. No. Okay, so we do have these 2 quarterbacks coming off the board as well. Let's get more of these quarterbacks off. This guy has 0 QBs here right now. 6 running backs. Oh my god, and only 3 wide receivers. This is a really interesting team build, and I mean that in the most kind way possible. This team build is pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie. It's like actually embarrassing. how bad his team is. Not to throw too much shade on this guy, but it's a terrible team built here. Mm, so what? Irv Smith here should be coming up the board. I guess nobody's going tight end, which is a bit surprising here. Actually, I'm really surprised. Let's see if Kirk Cousins can come off the board though, something like that. Okay, he does. Same thing with Fields. Okay, Irv Smith finally off the board. I mean, potentially, I think James Robinson could be the pick here. It is a little bit painful, but ETN coming off a season where he did not play at all. James Robinson, they clearly still like him. I've seen tons and tons of reports at a training camp saying James Robinson still look good, man. Still looks really good. Uh, I personally don't like it, but I mean, at this point, I think he's a fine pick. Maybe Nico Collins, actually. Actually, I'm gonna take KJ Hamler here most likely over the rest. No, I can't do it. I can't justify it. We are going to be targeting Nico Collins here, guy who will most likely have a pretty fair production in his offense. Most likely will. We'll see though. Mecole on the board. Mecole not a guy I like. I mean, they pretty much replaced him with MVS here. Clearly, they prefer MVS to Mecole Hardman. Otherwise, they wouldn't have signed MVS to the contract that they did. It doesn't really make any sense to me why people are even drafting Mecole. I mean, I don't even know if I would take him with the last pick in the draft. All right, I take it back. I would have to. I mean, it's Mecole, but but I wouldn't take him that high. I wouldn't take him where he's going right now. In the next round, though, I really am targeting KJ Hamler, a guy, another wide receiver insurance policy, like Joshua Palmer, where let's say Jerry Jeudy goes down. Let's say Sutton goes down, as we have seen both of these players do in the past. KJ Hamler fits the bill that Russell Wilson likes in a wide receiver to a T. That small, fast receiver, deep bomb threat, speedster. KJ Hamler will be on the field during three wide receiver sets, and now it's not even a debate uh, with what's his name, Tim Patrick going down for the season. So I do think KJ Hamler's a good value. If anyone else gets injured on Denver, you're really, really happy. Uh, whereas like KJ Osborne, yeah, I mean, Kirk is a good quarterback, but Russ is a great quarterback and fits the scheme for KJ Hamler a little bit better. Jacoby Myers, floor is absolutely amazing. I mean, in redraft, I think he's viable. Like 126 targets, not that many players get 126 targets. But at the same time, what's his ceiling? I mean, he's 2 touchdowns. Come on. You got to do better than that, Jacoby. He just doesn't have that touchdown ceiling because when they're by the goal line, they prefer to pound in the ball normally. And they have Hunter Henry, a very big body guy. Tyler Algier, I'm sure the news coming out, yet listed as reserve. He is listed as the number 3 running back, but it is, again, the unofficial depth chart. Uh, I have also seen reports that Patterson will be more utilized as a wide receiver than a running back. Damian Williams might actually be the starter here, which is a little gross. I'm not gonna lie. I would not trust that at all. In terms of the fact that I mean, it's Damian Williams, guy's 30 years old. He took a year off during COVID. What work has this man seen? They just drafted Tyler Algier. If I were looking at their offense, I'd be like, all right, we're gonna start from scratch here. Let's just get Tyler Algier on the field, get him snaps. If he stinks, then whatever. He's a rookie. And if he's good, then awesome. We found somebody who's good, and now we can get him real game experience. That's the way I think about it. So that's why I mean I think Tyler Algier is a fine pick here, even though he is listed as a reserve. And this news might scare away people enough because I mean you see the red dot here saying, "Oh no, he's listed as a reserve. Whatever shall we do?" And then you're like, "Oh, okay, it's unofficial depth chart, all that stuff." So he might be able to fall to us. He's a guy I would be fine to take. Maybe not over Christian Watson because I mean if I were to have the wide receiver 1 and 2 to this offense, I'd be absolutely fine with that. I think that brings a nice piece to our team. I do like Christian Watson a lot, so even though people, I mean, are just really, really low on him, I understand why, but at the same time, they still traded up to get him. He's still an early second round pick. Potentially, he is the wide receiver 2 to Aaron Rodgers. That's the way I look at it. I think he's really good value where he's going. Again, Devontae Parker comes off the board. James Winston's still on the board. If you guys are enjoying this video, please go down. Give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy. And leave me a comment. Let me know your rosters right now. It is always interesting to hear. I will be responding to every single comment down below. So if you guys have any questions or anything fantasy related, please let me know down in the comments below. Uh, we got Tyler Algier still on the board here. A little bit surprised. We do have, I don't know, I'm a little torn. I would probably lean Algier here just because our wide receiver room is pretty strong. Whereas Algier, I mean, could at least take over the role by season's end and give us a decent enough production. And then we just hammer wide receivers for the rest of the draft, as I tend to like to do. Now the wide receivers that are going in this range, I really don't like as much, though. Uh, but I guess it is still nice. Donovan Peoples-Jones appears as starter on the unofficial. Oh, no, wow. Unofficial depth chart. Okay. That is useful to know, I guess. Anthony Schwartz. Didn't do enough to supplant him. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones is a fine value here. Everyone else, though, it's like, you know. Laviska Shenault shipped to Carolina. I mean, this is a guy, 100 targets and 600 yards. I mean, he just looked so bad last season. It was actually horrendous to watch. Ty Rozier off the board here, meaning we're just going to be waiting a pretty long time. Showing improvement in recovery. That's actually awesome. Good to see. I'll read that in a second. We are going to take Christian Watson here. I do think Brian Robinson is kind of a value now where he's going. Let's see if he comes off the board here. Rivera said he's going through an awful lot. Yeah, of course. I mean, totally understand that. Samir White off the board as well. Totally understand that. Victim of a shooting. I mean, it's just awful. But he might be able to play week 5, and if that is the case, he does offer decent floor for my running back room here. I think there is some hope. I mean, I personally would take him over J.D. McKissic. Because I think J.D. McKissic's role throughout the season can only go down once Brian Robinson comes back. And then same thing, Brian Robinson's role will only go up here. We do have Brian Robinson off the board before J.D. McKissic. I'm fine taking J.D. McKissic here as well. Let's say, for instance, Brian Robinson does go down for the whole season. J.D. McKissic becomes a pretty fair amount more valuable because he is used in a lot of passing down situations. And this is a guy who got 80 receptions 2 seasons ago. This is a guy who got 43 receptions last season despite missing time. Sure, he's not going to be utilized in the run game, but let's say Gibson does miss time, for example. And Brian Robinson's also missing time. I think he is a fair value because he does offer that receiving upside. We do get sniped on him, though. I think Ty Davis Price probably would be the move then. A guy, I am fine taking him late if we do need him as a 4th running back because there is potentially does start. Potential is low, sure. Potential is pretty low, but the potential is still there. And if he does start, I mean, that's absolutely fine here. We do have a bit of a running back run coming off the board. Benjamin. Wow, I'm a bit surprised. I do like Eno, though. I think he is listed as the running back 2 right now. On this depth chart, which I think is pretty good. I mean, if he can pull that off and stay as the running back 2 here, let's say James Conner does go down as he has every single season of his career. That's not an exaggeration. He literally has missed every single season of his career, at least some games. It is possible that Benjamin walks into a pretty huge workload. And if that's the case, I mean, he's very valuable. I prefer to own him in a deep dynasty league than in redraft. I mean, here it makes sense, but that is going to do it for the video, though. I really hope you guys do enjoy. Please, again, go down, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy. That's going to be it from me, though. As always, have a good day, a good night, and a good life.